Hey there guys, how's it going? Reaper here, and I'm back with another painting video. This time around we're doing the Vault Warden from Zombicide Green Horde. And as you can see with all my minis, I've primed it in that standard grey primer that you get from basically any paint shop. Doesn't matter what brand it is, as long as you get sort of mid-tone grey, you're good. And we have started off with Dirt Splatter from Army Painter. So I'm going for a very dark skin on this one. Like, I know I've said I'll do dark skin before, and it's sort of come out a tanned colour, not great. Like, I know I can do better than that, so I'm going for proper dark skin on this one. So we're starting off Dirt Splatter before any highlights, and there's only going to be one highlight after this one, so it works out pretty well though. As you can see, this is a fairly, it's not a fiddly model because it's quite large areas, but it's difficult to get to certain places and notice that they're not painted. So I do believe I actually missed the inside of one of his hands in this first layer. But in all honesty guys, go over it, just make sure, keep an eye on it. I noticed it when I was doing one of the other colours, just went back, touched it up. With paints like this, until you put the wash on, it's no problem when you add them in. Obviously you want to get it done the first time around because then you haven't got to get more paint out and make sure it's not dried and things like that. But that was it for Dirt Splatter. Now we're on to Deep Blue, and this is for all the clothing basically. Other than his metal plates, he's only got this, looks like a ripped skirt. So I'll just cover the whole thing in Deep Blue. That is it for Deep Blue, and that is basically the skirt done until the wash, because I don't do anything else with this skirt on this model. But now we're on to Banshee Brown, and this is horns, feet, toenails, I wouldn't really say the hooves, it's a minotaur, and fingernails. And that's it for Banshee Brown. Now we've got the only metallic I use, which is Army Painter's Gunmetal, and this is for knee braces, the greaves he's wearing, the random padding strapped to his elbow, and also the two ends of his sheath. Which is a bit weird, he's got a sheath when he doesn't actually have a sword. He's just carrying a random sheath around with him. And there I go, dropping the model again. That happens a few times in this video for some reason. It's just something about this grip. I don't like the bit sticking out. I don't find it useful at all. So I'm actually going to reprint this without the grip, the bit on the side. So the grip should just stay. Anyway, we're on to Leather Brown now, which is the highlight for the skin. This is just same as all highlights I do for skin, is raised areas, leave the inside. Of course, this is before the wash as well. As you can tell, I am leaving all of the hair parts as well, as I want that dirt splatter to stay there as the lighter colour, and then I'll come back afterwards and I'll dry brush it with a lighter. Well, it's not lighter, it's a different shade completely. But before that, we do Dungeon Grey on the scabbard, and this is just to basically solidify the scabbard and make it look like it should do. But also with this Dungeon Grey, I just paint in all these straps and things holding the armor plates on, as he's got a few of them on his leg and he's got the one on his arm and stuff. Now we're on to Skeleton Bone, and this is just the highlight for all the Banshee Brown areas. It's not as much a highlight as it's more a dry brush with the way I do it on the horns, as I just drag it across and don't get it into the recesses as much. But for the hooves is more of a highlight because it more covers the bulk of the area, and fingernails are just the fingernails, the tips, and same with the teeth. But now we're on to Fur Brown, and this is the dry brush for all the hair. And it is quite a thick dry brush. I probably go over it a couple of times, just because I want that colour to sort of pop and look different. Because when you do the wash, it will blend them together quite well. So you want to have that bright, vibrant colour difference before. Anyway, you can see that slight difference in the shades, and now we're on to Crusted Saw, which I did notice when I was doing the dry brushing. His stomach is completely ripped open with exposed muscles, so that is getting a very bloody look. Along with his mouth, I don't do any of the scrapes and holes he's got in his skin though. I do that after the wash, as the wash would just fill those holes in. It would look weird. And this is the highlight for the bloody areas with Abomination gore. Now on to First Wash, which is blue tone, and that is the only other part of the skirt that you do, which is smother it in blue tone, as that gives it a nice decent shaded look, because you don't really want the skirt to take anything away from the model itself, because the bulk of this model is skin color. Nice simple wash for that one, and now on to dark tone, which is all the metallics. And I like to do the metallics with the dark tone unless I want a rusted look, and then I'll use one of the brown washes, as dark tone sort of gives it a nice oily look, but it still gives it a nice weathered look at the same time, so it looks pretty fresh and metallic, but still it's been used a lot. And finally we're on to strong tone, and this is everything else. So all skin, the horns, the face, the hair, everything apart from the blue and the metallics. Now on to a few of the last touch-ups I do, which is Abomination gore in all of the random holes and cuts that he's got all over his body. And of course I had a little bit extra on the brush, so just a touch up on the bits hanging around. It's always nice if you do a wash just to come back over and just touch up some of the areas just to make it pop that bit more. Now it is desert yellow, and this is just for the eyes. You could do the eyes in the red, but I had yellow out at the time, so I just used the yellow. And not the last thing I do this time around, it is matte black though for the base, as all my bases are matte black. There we go. Now we're on to something new, which is Glistening Blood, and this is sort of a wash, but it's mixed in with gloss varnish. So if you paint it over cuts and things like that, it gives it a nice sort of fresh blood look, like it's been bleeding recently. But there we go, and hope you enjoyed, guys. That's the end of the mini, and like, subscribe if you did enjoy it. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.